Hi, thanks for coming to this work group of authorities. I'm a philosophy doctor researcher at CONICET and Universidad Nacional de Río Negro in Patagonia, Argentina. The work that I'm going to present today, Relational Identity Categories Towards Another Way of Approaching Indigenous Subjectivities in Areas Without Indians, is a part of my research project to admission at CONICET, and these topics were the result of reflections of my postdoctoral fellowship. So it's a general purpose that initialized in the conclusions of my doctoral dissertation. Furthermore, I'm working in other projects that profundize many lines of this one. Well, in this presentation, I would like to discuss a methodological approach to work indigenous identities in zones that are constructs like without Indians. I carry out my research in a little border Andean village of Lago Puelo in Chubut, Patagonia, Argentina. Lago Puelo is a small village in the border of Rio Negro province and Chubut province. Furthermore, all of this village conform the Comarca Andina del Paralelo 42, and the history of this piece of Patagonian territory can't be analyzed separately. I use ethnographic methodology. I do ethnographic fieldwork, review some files like states files and familiar files, and I do a lot of interviews of many people of the land claimers or land recuperation. This zone, or the zone, was historically constructed by hegemonic discourse by without indigenous origins, and some of the arguments refer to the lack of writing documents that prove this presence previous of the Conquista del Desierto, the advance of the national troops in the final of the 19th century to this territory. In order to this work have three specific objectives. I analyze first the ways in which the topic of the indigenous was historically apprehended in different ways among non-indigenous sectors. Second, how these exogenous qualifications intervene in dialogue with the indigenous agency itself in marking this membership and in the way of projecting them or not in the public arena. Likewise, I'm interested, 3, in the reverse process, or one that analyzes how, based on recent process of self-recognition of an indigenous membership among all families of the region, certain non-indigenous social sectors take that topic to mean or complete in the public arena their own struggles. So, what were our many objectives? Well, first, it was essential to investigate the historical process of the formation of interethnic relations. Regarding this topic was fundamentally to review all the local publications about the story and the localities of this piece of Patagonia has a right to tell its own histories. In addition, I do fieldwork and observation in any commemoration of the village anniversary, so I can too conclude that in any of these popular festivities, the indigenous was rare or inexistent. You remember that I was affirmed that this zone was constructed like without Indians. It was fundamentally to register what groups of people was recognized like the origins of the village. This was the origins of my research. But in the transcourse of my research, many families of ancient residents that they can't to regularize the titles of your lands initiate to demand it through the Indians' marcations. So this process was interesting because allowed to analyze how the topic of the indigenous was apprehended in different ways among non-indigenous sectors. These sectors intend to delineate which was a real indigenous and which a false one. Inversely, other non-indigenous groups delineate many justifications about the Indian origin of the claimants. So my interest was to start to observe how these non-indigenous groups sectors take the topic to mean or complete in the public arena their own struggles. For example, was so interesting to analyze how ambientalist groups take indigenous lands and arguments. In very general terms, the ethnic lands claim that these families carry out was introduced in the ambientalist claims, particularly in the denial of the strip mining or the construction of the dam or the denial of several plots of land. Having said that, I argue that this useful of the indigenous land demands arguments or topic have an incidence in the form of the indigenous identification is delineated in this context. Nevertheless, all of these pictures of situation can be reevaluated in the light of the success of the new land recuperation in the new Northwest Chubut, the methodology and the forms of communication of these claimers that Haber configured, all of these broad pictures has exposed. So what we are planning to do next is to analyze how the non-indigenous groups vinculates or not, or how they distance these claims of these groups of young indigenous people that catch up your traditional land. Because this process is too recent, to be honest, I'm not exactly sure what this result may implicate and how this process have impact, for example, in the position of non-indigenous people that carry out others' claims, for example, ambientalists. I suspect that this conflictive process, more conflictive after the success of Santiago Maldonado, has been restructuring the systems of alliance, not only through the different groups, but indoor too. But this is a matter of a new research. If you would like more information on the dynamic of the relation of indigenous and non-indigenous people and of the history of some lands indigenous claims in Comarca Andina del Paralelo 42 or in northwest of Chubut, and if you want to consult my doctoral dissertation, you can consult this page, one of the IDIPCA CONICET Universidad de Río Negro page, and another GEMAS Memoria that is a page of a group of researchers. And my email is in the Congress notes. Well, thanks very much for your attention, and I like to receive some questions or doubts or comments. Well, if no questions, I thanks very much for your attention.